I'm happy to be here with you, and thank you for joining. Thanks also to our host today, Code Space. Thank you for inviting me to speak to this nice audience. Today's topic is the software product manager a mini CEO for the product? Before I go into the topic, let me introduce myself. As I said, my name is Zornitsa Nikolova, and I'm a co-founder and managing partner in a company called Linify. At Linify, we do primarily trainings, consulting, and mentoring for teams that apply Agile. And our focus is both on processes and also on product management, particularly for IT products. I'm also teaching at some universities in Bulgaria, where I'm located. And as part of my background, I've spent more than 15 years in a large multinational organization. But since 2015, I'm focused on doing trainings and also mentoring different organizations in different industries on how they can apply Agile and product management principles in their work. I'm also part of an organization called International Software Product Manager Association, or ISPMA. And let me introduce briefly ISPMA as well. ISPMA is a non-profit organization which is focused on establishing software product management as a discipline, both in the industry and also in the academia. So it is a very unique space for professionals in the software product management particularly, and it provides both knowledge in terms of book of knowledge and syllabus for software product managers, but it is also a place where industry and universities meet and exchange and share and work together to establish the discipline and the profession on a good professional level. So this is it about introduction, and what are we going to discuss today? The topic is the product manager a mini CEO or not? In our previous webinar, if you were present then, we discussed the difference between product managers and product owners. Now we want to take the discussion on a different level and talk about how product managers are similar or not similar to CEOs. We want to look at the position of product managers as leaders in their organizations. And we also want to talk about what are the enabling factors for good, strong product management in an organization. So, is the product manager a mini CEO? Where does it come from? Actually, it all started with a publication by Ben Horowitz, one of the gurus in the area of product management. His publication called Good Product Manager, Bad Product Manager argues that good product managers are actually fully responsible for their products, and their success or failure is actually the success or failure of the product. And this statement created space for many other publications where product managers are viewed as deputies of the CEO on a product level. Quite recently, there is one very interesting publication by McKinsey that discussed the importance of product management, especially now in the area of digitalization and increasing importance of digital products and software in every industry. So what McKinsey claims is that product managers are increasingly taking this role of mini CEO on the level of products, with their responsibilities, with the impact on strategy that product managers have today, especially in technology organizations. And looking at some successful companies in the Silicon Valley, it seems that strong product managers are pretty much competent and able to act in this role. However, there is also a number of other authors and speakers like Martin Erickson, who also recently published a blog where he said, product managers, forget it, you are not the CEO of anything. This is overrated. And there are also other people who kind of support this view and claim that speaking of product managers as CEO-like role is not really reasonable. Let's look at what are some of the reasons to call a product manager a mini CEO, and respectively what are the differences between the two roles. So first of all, obviously, a CEO is someone who owns and is responsible for everything that happens in an organization. Basically, the ownership and the responsibility for success of any product in an organization lies on the heads and shoulders of the CEO. But if we look at that perspective from a product point of view, actually this is what happens to a product manager. A product is successful when the product manager is committed to its success and owns and is responsible to its success. So on the level of the product manager is pretty much taking over this responsibility directly from the CEO. Yes, the CEO defines the overall strategy, but it's the product manager that needs to take it on the next level. Looking from an organizational perspective, CEOs and product managers are pretty much alike in the direction of how they work with the organization. Both CEOs and product managers are not the experts in everything they do. They need to be accountable for. The CEO typically works with a team of experts who report to them. Yes. The product manager works with a team of experts, and his or her success is pretty much dependent on how successful they are in orchestrating these team's activities. Although it's usually actually not the case that product managers have direct authority over this team of experts. Yet, both CEOs and product managers are expected to communicate both internally with the people they work with and externally with customers and other stakeholders, with the ecosystem, to influence how they view the products, how they view the brand, and how they communicate the value of its brand. So based on these three characteristics, we can see a lot of similarities between what the CEO needs to do and what the CEO is responsible for, and what the product manager needs to do and is responsible for, even though it's on a different level. When we look at other factors, however, we can spot some more differences, although, as you can see, I've put some question marks to some of them, because I believe they are pretty much dependent on how the organization is structured. And I will look at some of the factors later on. But let's see the summary of those different aspects. So when it comes to decision making, we claim the CEO is the sole decision maker for the organization, so he or she takes the final decisions. At least this is the claim in many articles that I've read on this particular topic. Yet I'm not completely in alignment with this statement. Because I believe that, as we said, the CEO is taking decisions in a team, pretty much like the product manager is taking decisions in a team. So even though the CEO is accountable for the final decision, decisions are often influenced by a lot of other people, just like the case with product managers. If we look formally at that, we can make the distinction. The product manager usually operates in some boundary conditions. So the strategy of the organization is typically defined on a higher level by the CEO, by the board of the organization. So the product manager is not really the sole decision maker when it comes to product strategy. Yet there are still a lot of influences that affect the decisions made by both the CEO and the product manager. When it comes to vision and strategy, again, definitely the CEO of an organization is the key strategy driver. While the product manager may or may not be in charge of driving the strategy for the product. Again, here I have a question mark. I've seen organizations where product managers are really not empowered to do any strategic product decisions. And this is usually at the cost of the product success itself. The more empowered product managers are to deal with the data they have, to drive strategy proactively and to take decisions in this direction, I believe the more the stronger the product and the whole product organization is. Yet, unfortunately, the case in many organizations is that product managers are simply people who are more on the operational level and who actually execute on a strategy defined on a higher level. When it comes to authority, I mentioned this point already. The CEOs are the chiefs of everyone in an organization. That's standard. While product managers in many organizations operate actually in a kind of a matrix structure where they don't have direct authority over the people they need to work with. Let's look at a large organization where product managers are part of R&D teams, for example, but they need to orchestrate different activities across sales, marketing, support, development, and all other different departments in the organization. So obviously the product managers are not the bosses of all those people. Yet, in some organizations, the structure defines product managers as partially having authority, at least on some key pieces of this organization, like, for example, development. So this definitely creates some more empowerment, but in the end, it's more about leadership rather than executing direct authority when it comes to orchestrating activities and really creating a product with the support of all the people in the organization. Control over budget and resources is pretty much related to the point about authority. While the CEO is naturally responsible to define budgets and to allocate resources for the whole organization. Again, this is often not the case for product managers. In many cases, product managers are either not controlling their budgets at all, which from my perspective is one of the pain points for some products and product organizations. Or they have partial control, so they can operate within certain boundaries, which is, I think, the better choice when it comes to really engaging and empowering product managers, making them committed to the success of the product. Also, another differentiation that is often discussed in this context is P&L responsibility. For product managers, this is not a must. Most product managers don't have direct responsibility and don't even look at the P&L, which again, from my view, is a bit problematic, and that's why I put a question mark here too, because in the end, product managers are responsible to create a product that brings return on investment and brings revenue to the organization. So I think defining the product manager as somebody who is not responsible for P&L is a mistake. And we shouldn't really look at this as a black and white responsibility. Definitely product managers are responsible to bring revenue and to control costs for their product, which makes them again closer to the CEO in this respect. So from this small table, we can see that we can argue actually in both directions. We can say, okay, product managers have enough responsibility or enough influence on critical factors when it comes to product to label them mini CEOs. Or we could say, okay, CEOs have much more responsibility and we cannot really put an equation between these two roles. But in the end, I think this is not really so important. What is important in this discussion is to really identify and focus on the fact that product managers do have a lot of responsibilities that are important for the organization. Even though they are focused on a specific product, they contribute to all those different aspects where the CEO takes the full responsibility, but needs to work with a team. And this team often contains product managers who deal with a specific product. And the other important point here is that both CEOs and product managers need to be leaders because they communicate internally and externally. They are the people who drive vision and strategy execution in the end. They are the people who focus the organization on goals on different levels. and they need to engage everyone in achieving success. And the more CEOs and product managers talk in a similar language and have a consistent message to the organization, the better it is for the product and for the organization. Many successful product managers actually in their work as product managers develop the skills needed to make a good CEO. So this is a natural career path for many people who work in product management. Since I'm coming from an ISPMA perspective, I wanted to share with you what is the ISPMA view on this little discussion. From an ISPMA, in ISPMA, we definitely put focus on the strategic role of the product managers. We believe that product managers are the drivers, the strategic drivers for the product, and they are very close to the mini CEO role in this perspective. So as you can see, what I'm showing here is the ISPMA framework for software product managers, where we define the core product management responsibilities. And as core product management activities, we define product strategy and strategic management, at least some aspects of it. So the product manager is the one who needs to drive market analysis and product analysis, as well as a lot of other product strategic product activities like product definition, positioning, pricing even. And this is not the case in many organizations, unfortunately. Still, in many organizations, product management is more focused on the other part, which is right here to the right, development or delivery, operational stuff. And this is an area that is important. Of course, product managers are in the end responsible for the end-to-end product definition and delivery and performance on the market. But these are areas where the product manager should play an orchestration role rather than be the core driver of all these activities. As we discussed last time, here, especially in development, especially in large organizations, when it comes to operational activities, it's the product owner who takes a more active role, and the product manager is still focused on the big picture, the whole story about the product, defining the roadmaps and managing the product activities throughout the entire life cycle of the product. So it is a long-term and a strategic perspective that a product manager takes, much like a CEO for an organization, driving it forward and looking forward to how the organization evolves and how it keeps its competitive position on the market. So taking this perspective, I want to next discuss what are some of the key factors that actually enable product managers to play this important role, this strategic role on a product level. And the first thing I've noted as a key factor is actually the understanding about the importance and the focus of product managers. As I said, in many organizations, product managers are viewed more as operational staff rather than strategy drivers. And I think this is a lack of understanding about how good and strong product management can drive the organization forward. A product manager is somebody who usually stays in the middle of all the different aspects of creating a product. So on one hand side, we have the business perspective, and here the product manager is someone who needs to understand the domain, needs to understand the motivation of the customers, needs to understand the segments, the target customers that we want to reach with our product. And also here it's important for the product manager to have also this CEO-like business focus of identifying what brings revenue and what is the cost of creating and maintaining a product. On the other hand side, product managers, especially in software, have the challenging task to also understand the technical side. So they need to be familiar with technical trends, what's new in the industry, and even more what's coming, what's the next technology that will be important for the industry they're in. And also they need to take the user perspective. So they need to create desirable products that users want. So this makes a very unique combination of skills and capabilities, and make the product manager a very important piece of this organization who is focused on bringing all these people together, defining the strategic goal, and focusing those different parts of the organization towards the same goal, so that in the end we can deliver a successful product to the market. And the importance of having those people who are focused on each particular product that we are creating in the organization is very much a key factor from my perspective for the success of whatever we are doing. When we have this understanding, it's usually not enough to make product managers really capable to take this responsibility and do their job well. We need to empower them, to delegate them the ability to make decisions for their products. I've been part of organizations, and I've seen other organizations where product managers are simply proxies. This happens very often, especially in smaller organizations, actually, where we have the CEO much closer to what is happening with the product. So they cannot really take their hands off the product, and they try to guide and make every decision out there that is related to the product. And it actually leaves the product managers disempowered to drive the strategy of those products. On the other hand side, in larger organizations where we have the inability of CEOs to be close to day-to-day decisions and even bigger decisions for the products, it is even more important to have the right level of empowerment for product managers. And empowering means two things. First of all, let them delegate the power to take strategic decisions and drive them. Even if they prove to be wrong at one point, it should be the product managers who are really accountable for those decisions, for learning from wrong decisions and for adapting based on that learning. And the second part of empowerment is actually providing product managers or ensuring that they're really skilled enough to make those decisions. We were talking about P&L responsibilities, for example, and the ability to really understand what brings revenue, what it means for the P&L of the organization, etc. Product managers need to have those skills to be able to drive the business side of product development. And again, this is not the case in some organizations. In my experience, I see a lot of product managers who are coming from the technical side, and they are brilliant when it comes to identifying technical trends and defining the product from a technical visionary perspective. But it's not always in their strength to cover the business side. And I think this is equally important for the proper management of a product. So we need to ensure that those people have the right mix of skills, or if they're not having them, to make sure that we upskill them accordingly. Right, so empowerment is important to give product managers capabilities to make decisions. But as I said in the beginning, usually it's not up to them to really collect all the information, and they're not responsible for everything related to the product. They work with the team, and to be effective, this work needs to be collaborative. So product managers are not the managers of all those contributors that they need to make good decisions. So it's very important to have the atmosphere, the culture of collaboration across departments. And what it means is basically to have consistent goals and consistent focus across departments. I guess many of you have been in the situation where you have a specific goal with your team, with your department, for your product. And you need, for example, marketing to jump in and support you. And then marketing has a completely different set of goals and completely different KPIs. And they say, no, sorry, our focus is somewhere else because we need to meet our KPIs. And this is very destructive for a product manager, because you can't argue with that. It is something that comes from usually from a higher level, and the only way for you to cope with it is to go up and up and up and try to find somebody who can support the alignment of those goals. So fostering internal collaboration across departments means understanding about these challenges from the higher levels in the organization, and ensuring that the departments can work together, focusing on the same or similar goals, so that they can collaborate effectively. And this is related to the next factor that I noted down. So when collaboration doesn't happen, the way to fix this is to go up, as I said. So for me, this means to use bottom-up intelligence to adapt whatever we are doing, to adapt our strategy. So our top-level management needs to be open to that. The communication in a well-working organization with good delegation and good empowerment of product managers from the CEO down means that we have communication in both sides. So on one hand side, we have the CEOs and the top strategy makers communicating down and making sure that their vision and their strategy is understood by the levels beyond them. But it also means that they're open to listen to what comes back from the lower levels of the organizations to the top level and adapting their strategy. If this dialogue is interrupted, if it's not happening, usually we are missing out. And if you work in agile organizations, you probably know the importance of using these feedback loops all the time. And this is feedback loops from top down and from bottom up. This is, in the end, something that guarantees that we have enough information to make decisions on all different levels of the organization. Finally, I already talked about ensuring proper know-how as part of empowerment, but I really want to stress this point. Because we often in organizations, we are trying to find the best suited people outside, and we are missing the opportunities to use the skills and the knowledge that is already inside the organization. I've had a lot of talented people reporting to me who were in a different role, and they wanted to become, for example, product managers or product owners to develop in a lateral position, for example, from development. And it's a very difficult stretch when your organization doesn't have the value for the people inside and doesn't have the commitment to develop those people. So for such talented people, it's often easier to go outside and look for jobs in another company than to make the lateral move. When it comes to moving into a product management position, I think there are three different areas of skills that we need to look for. And if people are strong in one of those areas, but not strong enough in others, we need to upskill them and to give them the chance to actually improve and bring more value to the organization into a different role. So for product managers, I think one important area of skills is the visionary. We already talked about the strategic role of product managers, and strategic role means product managers need to know about the market they're operating in or trying to penetrate. They need to know about business models. They need to be able to make investment decisions. And as I said earlier, they need to know about technical trends. And these are all skills that can be taught. So if you have somebody who is technical, they can learn about business models. They can learn about the business side of things. Strong product managers, even though we say they're strategically focused, they also do have some operational responsibilities. So they also need to be good good managers. So on the operational side, product managers need to be able to define requirements, to plan, to prioritize. Prioritization for me is a key skill that product managers need to develop on all different levels. And last but not least, as I said, product managers need to be leaders in their organization. They need to influence, not necessarily based on authority. So the soft side of the skill set is equally important to the other two. Good product manager needs to be able to communicate well, to present their vision, to engage people, to tell a story about the successful product they want to build. They need to be able to influence, to negotiate. So ensuring that product managers are well equipped with this know-how, even if they're new in their position, developing those skills is a very important factor for establishing the product managers as really mini CEOs of their product and enabling them to act strongly in this role. So let me recap the key points, and then I will open the stage for your sharing, comments, and questions. So I discussed the point of product managers being called mini CEOs. And I tried to summarize the different opinions on the topic based on what the CEO does and what the product managers do. And in my opinion, actually, there are a lot of similarities, and it's up to the organization to define whether they want their product managers to act committed and engaged as mini CEOs of the product. Usually the main differences come when we talk about authority and span of control, but still we can empower product managers pretty much in the area of their respective product to act as the CEOs for this product. For sure, what is very important is that product managers need to be good leaders. They need to be visionary, and they need to be able to communicate this vision and bring people forward. And last but not least, I believe organizations can actually benefit very much from strong product managers. Because this means commitment, because this means accountability, and this means, in the end, success. So I hope more organizations will focus on enabling their product managers to act as mini CEOs. Thank you for your attention. I would like to invite you to join me in Kiev in the beginning of June for the Think Stage conference by CodeSpace, where I will have talk on the soft skills in a product manager, what is important to develop as a product manager. And I am also happy to offer a 3-day training following the ISPMA syllabus for product managers, which will be followed also by a certification exam. So if you join, you will have the chance to become a certified member of ISPMA. With all the benefits that come from it. And finally, let me share with you that we are happy to offer a promotional prize for Stage conference attendees, also for the training. So I believe this is a good opportunity to meet and discuss in more detail the role of the product manager and the strategic aspects around it. Thank you very much. Now, I would be very happy to discuss with you your comments to this question. What is your view on the topic? Is the product manager a mini CEO or not? How you feel about it in your organizations, or any question that you want to ask. Now is your time. You can use the chat. Okay, we have a first question by Gennady. Thank you. Are personal skills more important for being product manager than tech? I wouldn't put strong emphasis on either one of those three key areas that I showed. I believe that you need a mix of those. For sure, personal skills are very, very important because product managers are people who work with other people and they need to influence other people all the time. So you need to have the good personal skills to be able to do that. I've seen brilliant tech people who fail in the role of product managers because they cannot communicate well, because they cannot explain their vision. So people have problems following them and executing them. And this is not something that you can easily put out of the picture. I mean, the personal skills. At the same time, these are skills, and I believe any skill can be learned. So if you're a brilliant technical person, a brilliant business person, and you lack some personal skills, you can put the focus on developing those skills and you can improve over time. So this might still not be your top strength, but you will be good enough to be a great product manager. And just a few more comments on this question. There are a lot of discussions how much technical you need to be in order to be a good product manager in the software, in the technical field. And I believe being able to understand the trends and being able to foresee what is coming is very able to define a software product, but I wouldn't say it's a must for any product out there. So it depends on the area where we work, on the domain where we work. If we are working on a very technical product where we want to be industry leaders, it's probably important to have a strong technical person leading that. But for many consumer products, though they're based on software, actually having somebody very technical could be counterproductive. So we need a balance there. Okay. Another question. So first of all, just a question to Gennady. Did I answer your question? Do you need more on that? Okay, thanks. The next question is, what PC programs do you use during your work except mail? Ooh, that's an interesting question. Well, I use a lot of productivity tools like Trello, like Jira sometimes depends on the project, actually, because currently I work mostly with different clients. So it's very much based on what they use. I adapt to what they use. But definitely I do use tools that help me order and prioritize my work. I also use tools that help me identify my efficiency, monitor the effort I spent in different projects. Yeah, I think that's a very general answer to that. Okay. I mean, in terms of product management, you can also look at tools that support prioritization and road mapping. So I think having a standardized way to do priorities in the organization and to look at roadmaps and to make investment decisions is very important. Okay, so we have the next question. Who are the examples of prominent product managers in your opinion? I must admit I'm very bad with names. So I'm having trouble to pop up with a name here. Let me think. I'm making yeah. So companies. Yeah, I'm following some startups that I think are doing quite a good job. But many of them are actually local to Bulgaria. So one example I could give you is a company called Kambanize. It's a Bulgarian company, so maybe you can look at that. I think they're doing a pretty amazing job on working in a visionary way with their product. So what they do is a product for they started as a project management tool based on Kanban. They actually developed their vision into a tool that can pretty much automate any process in your company. So with workflows and dependencies, a lot of functionality that basically helps you streamline and automate and put priorities into any department in the organization. So I was pretty impressed to monitor how they evolved over time. From big companies, I'm not sure how many of you are fans of Atlassian tools. I know that is there are very contradictory opinions in the industry, but I actually very much enjoy how they work with their products, especially recently as they are buying more and more competitors, and they are having some hard times to integrate all of that into a consistent positioning. I think they're doing pretty good job working with the ecosystem and the community to support their strategy. Let me think of other examples. I mean, in the Silicon Valley, we can for sure see a lot of companies that are doing quite a good job in this direction, and also some individuals that you can follow, um, like the Silicon Valley Product Group, SVPG. If you are familiar with them, they provide quite a lot of helpful insights and quite good examples of product management decisions, tools, and procedures. Okay, I'm going to the next question. Could you provide some examples of tools for task prioritization? And I guess the question continues, or it's a different question. What about market review activities? Should product manager be involved to the competitors' research and end user overview and monetization of the product? Okay, that's, I guess, a separate question. So tools for task prioritization, I would say probably there are many techniques that you can use, and some tools support some of those techniques. So in terms of techniques, you can use impact mapping, you can use, I use a lot user story mapping, business value prioritization with business value points. So all of that, again, I'm coming from mostly from agile environments, and there I view prioritization as pretty much a collaborative exercise that you do with stakeholders and with the team. So all of those techniques are tools that you can use, and later on, any tool that you use to manage your backlog of requirements supports some kind of business value indicator that you can put there for prioritization. I must admit I've mostly worked with Jira, and I don't think Jira is great at that. I mean, there is a ranking mechanism that that could be better, I would say. So not sure if this really answers your question, but I definitely put more focus on using some techniques for collaboration and bringing the information together so that you can take decisions as a product manager. Yeah. Okay. So next question, what about market review activities? Should product managers be involved in the competitors' research and end user overview and monetization of the product? As a member of PM, he has led this process, set the vision of this, and involve right people, resource for the process. Should the product manager be involved? Absolutely. I think if a product manager does not know the market, does not know the competitors and the end users, you can't really do your work well in terms of defining the product. Should the product manager do it? Well, it depends. I mean, if the product manager has the capability and scale to do it, great. But in most cases, I believe it is more a team effort. So the product manager drives and defines perhaps the goals. And you have a team of experts who support that. in the organization I worked for, we actually had an entire team working on competitors research. And we had experts there who could really do all the legal procedures to ensure that we are not in trouble later on. Because with competitors research, you also have the legal perspectives very often. So for sure, it wasn't me as a product manager who do all the research. I would rather delegate it to the team, but I would define what are the market segments, what are the solutions I'm interested in, so that those experts can provide the specific information. Okay. So yeah, if you're not satisfied with the answer, you can insist. Just don't be afraid to challenge me. Okay, what is the difference between product manager and IT product manager? Is IT mean that you are responsible for only IT sphere of a project? I guess you mean the software product manager, right? Because I spoke about software product manager. It's, yeah, okay. Well, product manager is the manager of a product. Since ISPMA is mostly focused on software products, or as we we recently rediscussed this term, software product management, and we tend to broaden the scope to software intensive. So this means products that might not be pure software products, but they do contain a significant software component, like for example, device containing hardware and software. This is a software intensive product. So it is part of the scope of the ISPMA definition and also what I'm talking about. For me, it depends on the industry. For example, I've been working with a telecom company recently, and they were doing software solution based on existing products and also some new products. And they had one product manager orchestrating the whole activity around this new solution, even though it contained different pieces. So for me, this is, in this case, a software product manager, because well, he's focused on the solution, and he's also orchestrating the activities that are not necessarily software related. So for me, it's not a black and white distinction. It depends on the product that we are building. In my case, I'm focusing more on software intensive products. That's why I'm talking about software product manager. So yeah, it's not something defined as different. It depends on the product we are talking about. Okay, how can we download the presentation? I hope that we'll have a recording. And I also check with our host today if they have a way to provide slides as well. I would be happy to. And I will also post the slides to our own website. It's linify.com. I think I have it on the last slide. So it's linify.com. So yeah, you can check also there. Okay. Do you have any more questions? If not, at this time, I would really love to see you in Kiev in June, and we can definitely discuss in a more informal, face-to-face way everything that you have as comments and questions. I would be happy to exchange with you. So thank you very much for your attention. Thank you for the lively discussion. I hope it has been helpful. And yeah, hope to see you soon. Have a great evening. Bye bye.